Hello, I'm Mr. Hunt and I've been a geography examiner and head of department for over 15 years. I want to share with you the three things, yes, there's only three things needed to get your grade 9 in GCSE Geography. The first thing is you need to develop your answers. The second thing include case-specific detail. And the third thing is no exam technique. Let's go through these three things to get our grade 9s. So develop your answers. All this means is writing more than a basic point in answer to a question. So here's a question: how do volcanoes kill people? There is our basic point, our answer, which is lava. You need to tell the examiner more than this to get your grade 9. So why don't we say lava can flow faster than people can run? Great, but let's write even more. Up to 60 kilometers per hour. Great, but let's say more about how lava can kill people. It can reach temperatures of between 700 and 1200 degrees centigrade, easily capable of killing people. Now there is a really well developed point that's worthy of grade 9. Now in the exam you need to develop a point like that one before moving on to our next point, which is gases produced by volcanoes can also kill people. And then you develop this new point of gases. Don't just write gas. Why don't we say an example of a volcanic gas like sulfur dioxide, and then you would go on to develop it more. So in summary, to develop an answer, stay on the same point, try to develop it to 3 stages. So there's our lava, can flow faster than people can run, and there's our third stage. Now actually in this development we're showing off because we've done it to 4 stages. That's the most important thing to do to get your grade 9. Now we also need to include case-specific detail, which means information referring to one place at one time. So when you're answering a question, try to put a number in, either the year something happened or how big it was on the Richter scale or the precise number of people who died. How about the Antarctic Treaty? Yeah, fine. The minute you say it was signed in 1961, that is case specific. One toilet is shared by 10 households in the Kampala slums in Uganda, case specific. And 95,000 European flights were cancelled when the volcano Eyjafjallajökull erupted in Iceland, case specific. So when you're revising, learn some numbers that you can put into your answers. Now, one way of doing developed points that include these case-specific examples is to P. Write your point, write your example, and then explain. Even better, though, is in the exam when you're writing an answer, P'd. Write your point, quote an example, explain it, and then develop it even further. If you're after grade 9, P'd your way through each exam question. So here's an example of a well-developed point that uses P'd. How do volcanoes kill people? There is my answer. So firstly, the point is, this time, pyroclastic flows. My example, well, in 1997, there were pyroclastic flows on Montserrat in the Soufriere Hills. So being case specific, there's my example. I'm explaining what the pyroclastic flow does. It burns people. And then I'm developing it by saying why they burn people, because they get so hot and they travel so fast. People cannot get out of their way. So that's the way to answer these P'd statements. Now we're moving on to the third thing you need to do to get your grade 9, and this is all about exam technique. Now there's a whole host of questions you could be asked. I'm just going to concentrate on 2 key things in this video. Many of the larger questions have 2 parts to them. Look and work out what the parts are, develop each part, and add case-specific detail. Here's a real question. A named place in the UK, explain how its ethnic diversity has changed. Now, what are the 2 parts? For this named place, we've got to say what its ethnic diversity is, and then we've got to say how it has changed. So let's put our place in. It's London in this example. And here is our answer. Now, if we have a look at what we've written, we've developed each part, we've added case-specific detail. So this is the what is London's ethnic diversity. London is very ethnically diverse, being the second most diverse city in the world after New York. Well, that's case-specific. In 2011, its population was 45% white British, 38% of the population were born abroad. So that's very well developed, precise numbers. Now let's move on to the change part. We've got to develop it and include case-specific detail again. This has changed when 60% of the population were white British in 2001. This change has been driven by an increase in the percentage of white non-British people, particularly from Poland, as well as Black African and Asian people. So two very well developed parts. The first part developed in case specific and the second part developed in case specific. That question is worth 6 out of 6. Now let's move on. Many of the larger questions use command words such as these: discuss, or to what extent, or how effective, evaluate, or assess the success. Now, all of these questions require you to write 1 or 2 positive points or good things, 1 or 2 negative points or bad things, and then you come up with a conclusion at the end to say overall whether you think it's positive or negative. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, have a look at this example. So here's another real question. The worldwide economic impacts of climate change are more concerning than the environmental impacts. To what extent do you agree with this statement? So what we need to do is say, yes, we agree with this statement because, so you'd be saying reasons why the economic impacts are more concerning than the environmental impacts. But then in your second paragraph, you'd say a reason why people might not disagree with this statement as well. So you've done both sides of the argument, and you would develop this side with place-specific detail. You'd develop this side with place-specific detail. And then at the end, you do a conclusion saying overall what you think. Now, the exam boards are moving more and more to these discuss or to what extent do you agree questions. So just remember, write positive, what's good, how you agree, negative, what's bad or how you disagree, and then come up with an overall conclusion. So, a summary of everything that we've learned so far. Number 1, and the most important thing, develop those answers. Number 2, include the case-specific detail. And finally, number 3, make sure you know your exam technique. How can you get a grade 9 in each type of question? Do lots of practice papers. Have a look at examiners' reports. It tells you how to get full marks. Now, when you're revising, this is the way to do it. Learn 2 or 3 developed points for every part of the syllabus. This means then that in the exam, you'll just have learned those developed points. You won't be having to think how to develop them. You can just write what you've learned. Learn precise facts, learn numbers, just maybe 2 or 3 for every part of the syllabus, and practice those exam questions. Can I wish you all best of luck in your exams? If you've got any comments or queries, put them in the comments section below.